you know your chromosomes determine how much wealth comes into your life? This brief video will show you why that is, and more importantly, how you can enter something called enlightened mode, which will make you wealthier than you'd ever dreamed.
Because once you realize why your manifestation abilities are dysfunctional,
You'll understand why you've never been able to attract much wealth or abundance in the past. Because the truth is, modern toxins and technology have destroyed our ability to manifest anything. And in this short video, I'll reveal how a secret study from underground caves in Derinkuyu, Turkey, enabled me to discover enlightened mode. The great news is each and every one of us can enter enlightened mode, which means you'll never have to worry about money again. And you'll get to choose the level of luxury you live in, because wealth and abundance will appear in your life with zero effort on your part. And while I'm sure you're at least a little skeptical right now, your eyes will be open to the truth when I show you the stunning revelations in this short video today. Because the crazy part is they confirm what ancient Eastern spiritual leaders have been preaching for centuries. The power to attract unlimited abundance lies inside of us. All you have to do is enable it. Let me take a quick minute to introduce myself.
Hi, my name is Richard Hartley. While it's still hard to believe I'm in the position to share this life-changing information with you today, I spent most of my life struggling in poverty. You see, I grew up in rural West Virginia, in a town no one has ever heard of. I come from 3 generations of coal miners, so we've always been pretty poor. So I was kind of used to barely getting by, living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you can relate. But my entire world was upended when they suddenly shut down the coal mine in town. I always knew this day could come, but never really knew what to do about it. If you haven't noticed, coal has fallen out of favor in recent times. Renewable energy like solar, wind turbines, etc. has put a real damper on the coal industry. And listen, I'm not against these new energy sources, but I've got a family to feed, and the coal mines are all I've ever known. So when I went to work one Monday morning just to find out I didn't have a job anymore,
I was devastated. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where your back is against the wall and you don't know where to turn, but it's a feeling I wouldn't wish on my worst enemies. Not knowing what to do, I went to a diner one town over to collect my thoughts. I didn't know what to tell my wife, Julie. The worst part of all is she was 5 months pregnant with our first child. And while I know my grandfather is rolling over in his grave for me telling you this, but I sat at that diner and bawled my eyes out. I'd never cried so hard in my life. Everything just felt so hopeless. And then right there during the darkest moment of my life, something stunning happened. A random encounter at a rundown diner in the middle of rural West Virginia that changed the course of my life. Because sitting in the booth next to mine was a man that stood out like a sore thumb. He was wearing a cardigan sweater and some fancy-looking glasses like you'd see in New York. He was clean-shaven, had a businessman haircut, and just looked like he didn't belong there. And then something inside of me just snapped. Stress and hopelessness does weird things to people, and I just lost it. Somehow I determined that this guy was responsible for shutting down the coal mines in town. Why else would this guy be here? I decided I was going to go over and give him a piece of my mind. I was really going to tell him off and tell him what a POS he was. But when I got over to his table and the man looked up, I broke down, bawling like a baby in front of this stranger at the diner. With a stunned look on his face, he asked if I was okay and told me to have a seat. While I was collecting myself, he told me his name was Jim.
As it turns out, he had nothing to do with closing the coal mines. In fact, he was just as shocked as I was about the closing, because Jim was a scientist and he was in town to conduct some studies in the same mines. I felt foolish about crying and my attempt to confront this stranger, but Jim was super cool about it. He said he'd noticed me earlier, and he said it looked like I was having a rough day, and that's when I just let it all out. I told Jim about losing my only income and my pregnant wife, and how I had nowhere to turn. When I was done, I looked up and Jim had a very serious look on his face. In a hushed tone, he whispered, "Look, I've been in your shoes before, so I get it. And I hate how the 1%ers are hoarding all the world's wealth, especially knowing what I know now. I have something to share with you, but it's a secret that could get us killed if we're not careful." Then Jim told me a story that proves why the truth truly is stranger than fiction. Jim told me he was contacted by a group of wealthy investors a few months back. He suspects they might even be billionaires. Reason is, they wanted him to study a certain cave over in Turkey. But why? Well, here's something I never realized. Turns out, people used to live in underground caves in Turkey. It's a massive cave complex called Derinkuyu. Some archaeologists speculate that the oldest part of the complex could have been dug about 2000 BC by the Hittites. Again, why? Mainstream archaeologists claim Kuyu was likely used for the storage of goods and as a temporary haven from foreign invaders. In fact, you can even tour a small portion of the cave complex today, but there's a lot more to these caves than anyone realizes. In 2014, a new and potentially even larger underground city was unearthed beneath the Nevşehir region. And this is where the real secret was discovered, because a group of billionaires immediately started researching these underground caves when they were discovered in 2014. But here's the thing, this group of billionaires had been searching for this underground hidden city for decades because they'd stumbled across ancient writings and drawings inscribed on a secret part of another cave's walls, text that spoke of a powerful chamber with magical powers reserved only for royalty of the day. So the billionaires immediately sealed that part of the cave off so no one else could access the ancient writings and drawings. And then they went on a real-life treasure hunt. It's like a real-life Indiana Jones movie, but instead of searching for the lost Ark, they were searching for a secret chamber deep inside the underground city. It's the deepest chamber in the whole complex, and its effect on humans is described as magical.
But what exactly does magical mean?
Well, according to the ancient writings found inside the underground caves, anyone who spent a certain amount of time in the deepest chamber, which they referred to as a church, would become insanely wealthy upon returning above ground. Which sounds crazy. After all, what does spending time deep down in a cave beneath the Earth's surface have to do with getting rich? Well, as it turns out, Jim's research explains the whole thing. And while it is a complex scientific process,
The concept is so simple, even a fifth grader could understand it.
So here's the thing. Oddly enough, it revolves around our chromosomes. Remember those from school? If you're anything like me, it's been a while since you were in a science class, so I'll take 30 seconds to refresh your memory. Imagine your body is made up of tiny building blocks called cells, kind of like how Lego pieces build a Lego castle. Inside every cell, there are tiny strings called chromosomes. These chromosomes are super important because they carry instructions for everything about you, like what color your eyes are, how tall you grow, and even how your body fights off a cold.
You can think of chromosomes like a recipe book. Each recipe book, or chromosome, has different recipes, your genes, and these recipes tell the cell how to make things that your body needs to work properly.
Okay, so if chromosomes are the instruction manual, you still need a cover for the manual, right?
Something to protect it from being damaged, preventing the pages from being ripped out.
Imagine a book with no cover. It would get damaged and destroyed pretty fast, right? It's the whole reason book covers exist.
Well, your body has a book cover for your chromosomes, your body's instruction manual.
Basically capping the ends of your chromosomes the same way a book cover does for books.
These caps are called telomeres.
They're like the hard covers at the beginning and end of a book, which protect the pages, your chromosomes, from damage and wear. So maybe you've heard about telomeres, and maybe you haven't. Even though they were discovered in the 1970s, scientists had the real breakthrough in 2009, which won them the infamous Nobel Prize. What they discovered is the length of your telomeres determine everything for your physical health. And I mean everything from how fast you age to what diseases you get. So if you have longer telomeres, you age slower and live longer and live a healthier, disease-free life. These people experience benefits like having sharper memory, more energy, perfect blood sugar, and healthy hearts. Thing is, the ancient writings from 2000 BC spoke of telomeres, centuries before they were discovered. But get this, they were actually talking about spiritual telomeres. You see, according to the ancient writings, ancient Eastern spiritual leaders like Rumi, the Dalai Lama, and even St. Paul from Christ's era knew we had telomeres embedded in our consciousness. There are even drawings in the cave that resemble chromosomes with telomeres attached. These are just like our physical telomeres and affect our spiritual health in the same way. And what you may not realize is this includes your manifestation abilities. Because according to the ancient writings on the cave walls, we are all born with the ability to manifest abundance from the universe. And in today's modern times, that means mainly one thing: money. After all, it's what makes modern civilization go round. But our spiritual telomeres are too short to manifest anything. Eventually, they become so short that the cell can no longer divide successfully, and our manifestation chromosomes die, just the same as our physical chromosomes do when those telomeres become too short. Sadly, it's the result of all the toxins and pollution in modern times that have wrecked our manifestation cells. Radio towers, dangerous toxins, cell phone signals, Wi-Fi, herbicides, microplastics, terrible air quality, poisons in our food supply. All this adds up so that by the time any of us are even born, it's too late. This is why you are stuck in what Jim calls slog mode. So what to do then? How do we get out of slog mode and overcome the problem at this point in human history? Well, the answer lies in those underground caves in Turkey, because the ancients knew the secret powers of these sacred chambers. And one chamber in particular was different from all the others. What they discovered is that there is a certain vibrational hum in this sacred chamber, and anyone who spent the night in that cavern would suddenly become wealthy upon returning to the Earth's surface, because they'd entered what's called enlightened mode, but no one really knew why or how it worked until now. Because that group of billionaires I told you about earlier, they've been conducting studies in the secret cavern since 2009. And what they discovered is that this mysterious vibrational hum actually lengthens your spiritual telomeres, which keeps our manifestation chromosomes alive and healthy.
So they can function as the universe intended,
allowing you to manifest unlimited wealth and abundance with zero effort on your part. Because as it turns out, these very specific vibrational hums physically stimulate our spiritual telomeres. It works because of the mechanical vibrations from the sound waves. Even the National Institute of Health, NIH, is saying that sound vibrations can have an effect on human health, giving them the energy they need to grow long and stay healthy, which is when they enter enlightened mode. But here's the crazy part. Jim has managed to replicate this vibrational hum, so you don't have to physically travel to a secret cave in Turkey to soak up its powers. Not that you could do that anyway. This took them several months to do because the frequency of the vibrational hum was so specific. It took a monumental amount of effort to match it exactly. But when he finally had his big breakthrough, he was fired and told that if he ever mentioned this to anyone, they'd come after him. Jim was just told this last night, and today the minds he was studying were shut down for good. I gazed at Jim, eyes wide as saucers. So let me get this straight, I said. You were able to figure out the frequency of the vibrational hum that shifts us to enlightened mode? So if we recreated this vibrational hum, we'd enter enlightened mode and be able to manifest unlimited wealth and abundance? Jim nodded his head slowly. There's just one issue, he said. During my research, I actually discovered two vibrational frequencies, which I don't understand yet. I was expecting to only find one frequency, right? So now I have to figure out what to do with this stunning revelation. After Jim revealed this last part, I suddenly felt like I was going to vomit. For a minute there, I thought that maybe God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, was throwing me a lifeline. And here I was, back at a dead end again. But Jim told me he had some ideas, and that he was hopeful we could figure it out. In fact, he had a theory. Jim figured if we played both the vibrational frequencies together, it would have an entourage effect, thus creating the magical vibrational frequency from the sacred cave in Turkey. And he was so confident in his theory, he had audio tracks made up that matched the frequencies of the vibrational hum. So Jim proposed we listen to these digital audio tracks for a few days. He'd already had them combined into one single audio track we could play from our phones. And if his theory was correct, we'd enter enlightened mode, so we could manifest unlimited wealth and abundance from the universe. And while I wasn't sure how I'd explain this to my wife, I agreed. After all, what did I have to lose? So I listened to the two different frequencies at the same time on a Bluetooth speaker while I scoured the job sites for some type of employment. And let's just say it didn't go as expected. The first day I listened to the tracks, I got food poisoning,
which landed me with a $2,500 hospital bill.
The day after that, I got $573 from the water company. Apparently my water had been leaking from a busted pipe in my yard, and I had no idea. And since I was flat broke, they were going to shut my water off. And as I was going to meet Jim at the diner the next day, I got T-boned, totaling my beloved 1992 Toyota Tacoma.
At this point, I'd had enough. I was going to give him a piece of my mind when I saw him.
But when we met, I saw he had a neck brace and a black eye. Turns out his luck wasn't much better. But just when I thought it was all over, the breakthrough that changed everything came from the most unexpected place. While we were at the diner, Jim was gazing out the window at an oil slick in the parking lot. Suddenly, his eyes lit, and he said he had an idea. One last Hail Mary, if you will. He noticed how the oil stayed separate from the water in the rain puddles, just sitting on top. and yet they were together in the same puddle. Separate, but together. Maybe that was the key to the two frequencies. What if we listened to each one separately in each ear? Separate, but together. Jim thought it might work and had the complex digital audio frequencies made up that day. Then we gave it one last go. The first day I only listened to the new audios for 10 minutes. But how quickly things changed. The very next day, I received a letter from an attorney. Apparently, I was being awarded $250,000 in a class action lawsuit against the coal company I worked for, which is more money than I made in 3 years at my job. Then I grabbed a Mountain Dew at a gas station and noticed they had sweepstakes to win a new Ford Raptor pickup truck. What are the odds? I thought to myself as I twisted off the cap. But to my amazement, I had the winning cap for the $79,000 truck in my hands. Finally, I was contacted by a recruiter for an energy firm wanting to pay me $500,000 a year for a consulting gig. So it was safe to say I'd entered enlightened mode. And when I talked to Jim, he reported the same spectacular type of stories, but we wondered if it would work for other people. After all, 2 isn't a very big sample size for a scientist like Jim. So we started passing it around for friends and family to try. And one by one, they also entered enlightened mode as wealth and abundance appeared in their lives with no effort at all. At that point, we knew we had to share this with the world. After all, why should billionaires be the only ones with this info? So I'm thrilled to introduce the Chromo Wealth to you right now. It's the only program in the universe that jumpstarts your manifestation abilities by making you enter enlightened mode, which means you'll automatically manifest wealth and abundance into your life without even trying, which is pretty refreshing to hear from me personally. I don't know about you, but knowing the power sits inside of us already was more in line with what I always felt in my gut. It always seemed weird to me to have to chase money. It just always felt so wrong. I would even say it felt gross. And don't even get me started on the law of attraction stuff. Trying to attract wealth just by thinking about it, I mean, give me a break. Besides, none of that stuff actually worked for me anyway. And I'm guessing it didn't work for you either since you're here watching this video. But the good news is, the truth about attracting wealth and abundance into your life is so much easier because it's actually effortless. And the crazy part is, there's no limit to the amount of wealth you can manifest because the universe has a never-ending amount of abundance to share with us. And even though I now realize this fact, I still have a hard time wrapping my head around just how much wealth and abundance is flooding into people's lives after using the Chromo Wealth for just 10 minutes a day. Once a skeptic of anything beyond the conventional, my journey took a 180-degree turn after a friend introduced me to the Chromo Wealth. Living paycheck to paycheck as a library assistant in a small town, I never imagined a life beyond my immediate boundaries. Fast forward to today, I've launched a successful online business that allows me the freedom to travel the world. My first stop, the enchanting streets of Paris. Chromo Wealth didn't just change my financial situation, it revolutionized my entire outlook on life. Growing up, I always dreamed of making a difference, but life seemed to have a different plan, chaining me to a desk job that drained every ounce of my passion. That was until Chromo Wealth came into my life. It felt like the universe finally heard my pleas. Now, I run a nonprofit dedicated to environmental conservation, making real impacts in communities around the globe. The transition was nothing short of miraculous, proving that with the right mindset, anything is possible. My story might sound familiar, buried under student loans, living in a cramped apartment, and wondering if my art would ever be more than a side hustle. Chromo Wealth was my wild card, a leap of faith that propelled me from obscurity to showcasing my work in galleries across New York City. It taught me that abundance isn't just about wealth, it's about finding richness in life's experiences and sharing your gifts with the world. I've not only found financial freedom, but also the courage to live authentically.
I love sharing these success stories, but right about now, there's always someone who stops me and says, okay, this sounds great, but how do you actually use Chromo Wealth? And I'm always happy to cover this as many times as needed because it's really just so simple.
All you do is put in a set of earbuds or headphones, press play on the digital audio track, and listen to the audio frequencies for 10 minutes each day. That's it. Chromo Wealth does all the work for you, making manifestation truly effortless. We are so fortunate that we were around for this groundbreaking moment in human history. But I have to warn you about one thing right now. There are a handful of billionaires out out there who are tracking your every move. You see, they've had a stranglehold on the world's wealth for a long time, and they want to keep it that way. Obviously, Chromo Wealth puts them at risk at losing that stranglehold. So it's my duty to inform you that there are some powerful 1%ers trying to crash this website right now. I say that because this website is the only place you can get Chromo Wealth. And if the hackers they hired are successful, the opportunity to get your copy of Chromo Wealth will be gone forever. And what a shame it would be if you were this close. But you let this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity slip through your fingers. So I urge you to take action while you're on this website right now while it still exists. Plus, now that I know the truth, I've made it my personal mission to spread the word to as many people as possible. I know what it's like to have your back up against the wall. I know how it feels to work hard your whole life and still not have enough to get by. I don't want anyone to ever have to go through that. And now that I know the truth, I feel it's my duty to humankind to spread this as wide and far as possible. I truly believe this is why I was put on this earth. Which brings me to my last point, because there are people out there who have privately urged me to charge upwards of $5,000 for this. And truth is, I know I could get away with charging that much. After all, just look at how much you'll make from this. But most people I want to help don't have a lot of extra cash lying around, so I would never consider charging anywhere near that. Besides, this isn't something I'm doing for profit. This is all about my legacy. I've already got more money than I could ever spend, so what's the point of derailing my mission just to make a few more bucks? In fact, since the hackers are getting closer and closer to shutting this website down for good, I've decided I'm not going to even charge the $275 I normally do. Instead, all I ask is you pitch in a mere $39 to help cover the costs of running this website. I do have a couple employees I have to pay, so I have to charge a little bit. But even still, it's less than most folks spend on coffee in a week. All you have to do to claim this exclusive discount is click the button that appeared below this video. When you do, you'll be taken to a 100% safe and secure checkout page. There you'll enter your order info and hit submit. Then an email will arrive in about 15 minutes with access to your very own digital copy of the Chromo Wealth. But since time is short, I want to reward you for taking action on the most important decision of your life. So I decided to throw in a few free gifts when you place your order today. Free gift 1, Opulent Echoes, $77 value. This is an audio track designed to transport you into a deep, meditative state. The rich vibrational sounds of nature, carefully woven with subliminal frequencies, will harmonize with your mind and body, allowing you to tap into the boundless potential of your wealth chromosome code. Free gift 2, Wealth Scribe, $97 value. When you enter enlightened mode, crazy things start to happen, but in a good way. This can overwhelm you and make life a little bit harder to manage. That's why I created a manual to help you better understand enlightened mode and show you how to handle the rapid influx of abundance into your life. Free gift 3, Wealth Pulse Frequency, $147 value. This audio track amplifies your activated wealth chromosome code by synchronizing with your unique wealth vibrations. This accelerates your journey to abundance and prosperity. As you listen to the pulsating rhythms, you can feel the magnetic pull of opportunity, wealth, and abundance drawing into your life with effortless ease. I'm giving you those 3 gifts free, a total of $321 value, when you place your order on this website right now, which is seriously a no-brainer offer if I've ever seen one. But I'm taking this a step further, because one thing I noticed from the thousands of success stories I've received is that many of the folks who are now rich bound their wildest dreams were extremely skeptical at first, but went ahead and took the chance anyway, only to have an experience that exceeded even their wildest expectations. But it made me wonder, how many people missed out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity just because they were a little skeptical? So here's what I decided to do to sweeten the deal even more. I'm backing your purchase with a 100% 365-day money-back guarantee, which means you get an entire year to take Chromo Wealth on a test drive. If you don't love your experience after using the Chromo Wealth, I'll refund you every penny, no questions asked. I'm shouldering all the risk here to make this an easy decision for you right now. It's important because there isn't much time left, and I don't want you to miss out because you weren't sure. So I'm removing that roadblock now to give you the peace of mind you need to take action. Go ahead and click the button below to claim your own personal copy with zero risk on your part. Right now is a defining moment in your life. There are 2 paths that lie in front of you at this moment, and you have a choice to make. You can choose the first path, which is the path you've been on your whole life. But if you stay on that path, nothing is going to change. And for the first time in your life, you have another option. So knowing what you know now, why would you choose to stay stay on that path. If you're someone who truly wants a better life for you and your family, you'll choose the second path. And truth is, you've already made that decision, or you wouldn't have watched this far. So let's take the secret info I shared with you today about how you'll manifest unlimited wealth and abundance into your life on autopilot and make this a reality for you. But again, I must warn you, don't leave this page until you've secured your very own personal copy of Chromo Wealth, because there's a good chance it won't be here another day. So click that button below and start your life transformation today.
Your future self will be glad you did. Still here? I see.
I don't blame you. We covered a ton in this video, and I understand you might have some questions. So I'm going to take the liberty to answer some of the most commonly asked questions that we get about. Question 1. How soon should I expect results? Well, every person is different, so the answer isn't the same for everybody. Some have experienced massive results as soon as the first day. Others have taken months to jumpstart their manifestation abilities. I recommend using it every day for a full month before getting too worried about it. Question 2. I've tried other manifestation programs based on the law of attraction. They didn't work. What makes this one any different?
This is not based on the law of attraction.
This is a scientifically proven method that activates your internal manifestation abilities.
And in the end, science is just proving what Eastern spiritual leaders have known for years.
Question 3. How is my personal information protected? We hired some of the best encryption experts on the planet to protect your information. These folks used to work for the FBI, and they use 256-bit encryption technologies using Secure Sockets Layer, SSL, which means your info is 100% secure, backed by the best technology available right now. Question 4. How does the money-back guarantee work? When you say yes to the Chromo Wealth today, you are doing so 100% risk-free, because I'm giving you an entire year to decide if you're happy with your results or not. If at any time in the next 365 days you feel that your life has not improved drastically, simply email or telephone my support team and we'll refund 100% of your investment on the spot. Question 5. Can I buy this on Amazon later if I decide I want Chromo Wealth at some point down the road? The answer is no. This website you are on right now is the only place you can get Chromo Wealth. And even this lone page will not be here much longer. In fact, I expect it to be shut down as soon as tonight. So if you even think you're interested, you should click the button below and secure your copy now. Besides, it's 100% risk-free with the 1-year money-back guarantee that backs your purchase.